Well, good morning, good evening, everyone who's joining us from, I can imagine, many different time zones. Welcome to the Nexa Team AMA. You might know me as Share Creator in the community channels. We're really excited to host this AMA today with everyone. We've got a lot to get through today as well. We know our community is super excited for this AMA. And, last month we put out a blast to our community. We asked all of you to give us your questions. And today our team have showed up to give you some project updates, let you know what we've been working on, and of course answer your questions as well. So today we're joined by Solex, the BU president. We've got Andrew Stone, our lead developer, Peter Risen, BU secretary, Dave Haslop, our new CMO, Morgan, our application dev, and Dolaned, who will be joining us any second now, our infrastructure dev, and of course SickPig, our core dev as well. Solex is joining us on the Bitcoin Unlimited account. Solex, how are you going today? We'll actually get everyone to check their mics as well. Dave, Peter, Morgan, SickPig, Andrew. How you guys going today?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome.
Testing.
Hi, everybody.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Let's get started with there we go. How you going, Solex?
Yeah. Hi. Sorry. A little bit of sound trouble there. Yeah. No, I'm going well. Thanks. Thanks for organising this. It's much appreciated. It's great that we can do this event.
Absolutely. I know our community are really excited to hear from us. Guys, I just want to open it up to all of you just to sort of give a brief overview on what you've been working on and, the latest updates in Nexa. And then we'll get into some of the questions down the track. Today, we're also going to cover some of the marketing updates. We've got a new website in the works. So there's a lot happening right now in Nexa. So let's open it up and would love for you guys to just, share with the community what we've been up to.
Right. I think I'll just start off as BU president. I'm really doing an admin role here, just trying to keep the org running smoothly. I mean, a recent important part of what we're doing is our new marketing approach, and everyone will have seen the Tier 1 exchange listing proposal, which got passed unanimously by the BU membership, which is quite exciting. That's a huge amount of funds that we're prepared to spend to get right up into the top few crypto exchanges. So my focus has been recently on preparation work for getting a Tier 1 listing, working with David and Endo and people, giving various bits of advice there. So that's really my particular focus in the last few months and will be in the next couple of months going forward. As far as development is concerned, I'll hand over to Andrew Stone for that.
Hi. So we're coming out of finishing the Wally multi-platform wallet, which supports full Nexa cryptocurrency functionality as well as NFTs and other group functions. You can see a browser and look at pretty pictures, and that, since NFTs are sort of like a specialization of general groups, they're different types of tokens are supported as well. So that's like a big deliverable, and so things are opening up now, and we're starting to broaden out and rework websites and both developer and also marketing, and also move forward with some of our hard fork feature items, and starting to really begin to take advantage of some of the Nexa features.
Did anyone else on the team want to jump in at this stage? We're also going to be talking a little bit about what we're working towards in the next 6 months as we, sort of reach the halfway mark in 2024 already. I know there's been a lot of developments lately as well. Did anyone else want to jump in at this point before we move on? Dave, did you want to give a brief rundown on some of the things that we've been working on with the marketing efforts for Nexa? I know a lot of the community are really excited to hear about those developments as well. Give a bit of an overview of the things that have been happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Sinead. Yeah, guys. So as you've seen, there's been some changes slowly starting to happening in terms of our socials and our website as well. Um, we marketing's a funny thing. I did notice that when we first came on board, there was a lot of excitement around the marketing, and after about 4 days, everyone's saying when marketing and things like that. And I think it's really important to reiterate that a general rule of thumb in any marketing in any industry is that the first 3 months is unnoticed work. So, and what I mean by that is the things that we do today, we don't really see a return on that time for around 12 weeks down the track. So while myself and the team have been working really hard to put some things in place, and as Andrew said before, we've been working on the exchange listings and things like that as well. So there's a lot to it, and we are approaching it from a very multifaceted approach, where we aim to sort of leverage other communities to grow our own, and in doing that, a big strategy or a big part of our strategy is working with exchanges. So there's a lot of hype and a lot of talk around the tier one listing and the approval that's come through from the BUIP. And it is super exciting. Don't get me wrong. It's very, very exciting. However, we need to make sure that we approach this from the right strategic point of view and that we're partnering with the right exchange. Now, yes, we've got offers on the table and we are pursuing other offers or other listings of our own. So over the next couple of weeks to a month, we'll announce the tier one exchange listing. But all we ask on that front is that you be a little patient with us, because we're making sure we get it right, guys. We don't just want to partner with any exchange and just hope that it works. We need to go into this with a very clear and very strategic plan that sets us up for longevity and organic growth.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Let's move into some of the things that are in progress and what the community can expect to sort of see from Nexa over the next 6 months or so. I know that there are some things in the works, such as Tailstorm. We've had a lot of questions from our community around FPGA, the recent round of BU voting. So I'd just love to open this up to the team again, if we can touch on some of those topics and sort of explain what the community can expect to see from us in the next 6 months, and the things that are happening behind the scenes. So I'll open it up to all of our devs here and our team if anyone wants to jump in here and touch on some of those topics.
I'll start if it's okay. So I'm looking at, now that the wallet is solid with basic functionality, more interesting
Sorry,
functionality.
Andrew. There's a bit of scratch in your microphone, mate.
Oh, hang on. I'm looking for I'm looking for adding a lot of more interesting functionality, including ways that wallets can interact with smart contracts. And the simplest sort of smart contract to do, which is actually non-trivial, is multi-sig. And the reason why, and so that's what I'm working on at this moment. The reason why that's not as trivial as you might expect is because it's not a contract that can be solved and spent within a single wallet, right? No matter how complex a contract is, that's easy. You just execute the code that generates the solution, right? But with a multi-sig, you need to dynamically go out and communicate with another wallet that's active, right? And you can imagine in more complex scenarios, and especially in sort of like the smart contracting philosophy of UTXO blockchains versus Ethereum ones, there's a lot of more sort of multiple players interacting to build a final transaction. And we already have that with, the atomic NFT swap half transaction type stuff. And so the idea is to integrate that more generically into our wallets with sort of more generalized smart contracts. So that's one thing. And then another thing is hard fork to add a bunch of new features. The exact features is not completely decided yet. So I want to do that by the end of the year. And so because you can't control, there's like a famous quote.
Your microphone's going really scratchy again, Andrew. Sorry.
Really? Strange. There's a famous quote in development which says you can't control the manpower, the schedule, and the features, right? So the features are the one thing that we can't control, but we already have a couple of smaller hard fork features in our repository ready to go. And for example, removal of certain script limits. And then there's proposals to add certain script opcodes that will make certain smart contracting functionality a lot easier to use. So there'll be extensions in the smart contracting for sure, and extensions to make wallets work a lot more efficiently. Hopefully, commitments to fingerprints of transaction activity and so forth. That will help stop somewhat esoteric vectors of where someone could sort of hide transactions from wallets. Let me think. Other hard fork features and something sort of larger like like Tailstorm. I can't know at this point whether it's going to go in or not. So sort of that's what I'm looking towards in the next 6 months.
Thanks, Andrew. Did anyone else want to jump in here? We've got SickPig, Peter, Jorgen, Solex, Dave. Anyone else want to jump in? I know we've also had a lot of website updates happening behind the scenes as well. We are currently developing a new website for our community, and there will be a lot of resources and new information and content there. But yeah, Dave, do you want to go, mate?
Yeah, the new website is looking really, really good. So we're not doing a brand change or anything like that. We're just sort of doing a brand refresh and a brand update just to bring us in line with sort of what the industry looks like as a whole. And it brings us in line with some of these really key players in the industry. And it's starting to look really, really good. So big shout out to Yendi on that. Doing a really great job, mate. And I can't wait to see that go live. We're hoping to see that go live in the next week or two, give or take. But as Andrew said before, you can't really you can't have everything, and timeline is one of those things. So we just work to what we can. From a marketing perspective, as I said before, we are approaching this in a very multifaceted way, and with that we're targeting key groups, we're targeting different audience groups, and it's very easy to get caught up in hype, and it's very easy to want to see the price action of the coin change and change significantly and change quickly. However, what we're working on is to build longevity and build organic growth and get builders on. So there will be a proposal put forward for a BUIP for a buildathon, which I've spoken to Solex about. Myself and Shanice are working on this now, where the idea is that we want to engage builders. We want builders building on Nexa and getting those utilities out there in the ether on the Nexa chain. So we're hoping that we can, in the coming months, organise and put forward a buildathon where we can actually put out a grant for a winner or a set of winners of a buildathon and do this over the course of 12 months. And this is going to be a really big campaign, guys, and it is something to be excited about, because what it does is it puts an abundance of utility on the chain by getting people to actually build and in abundance. So that's something that's very excited, and that's how we're going to approach the audience set of those developers and builders in the space. And then we've also got brand awareness pieces. So again, as I mentioned before, we're working with exchanges and some other key partners that obviously we haven't released just yet, to try and really grow our brand awareness in the space. Nexus has a really good footing and a really good start. Excellent team, as you all know, and an excellent technology stack. And it's now time that we really get that branding out there and showcase that for the world to see. And that's the other approach we're taking is to really push that branding awareness piece and that builder piece. So yeah, it's going to take some time. It's been quite exciting for me, to be honest. It's something that I very much enjoy doing, and the team are great to work with. So yeah, I've only been here just under 2 months and settled in very nicely, I think, and hopefully over the next 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, you guys will start really seeing some changes. I know we did push out a video last night, my time, here in Australia, and you guys would have seen that already. The new series that we're starting called No Nexa, and the idea behind this is that we need to educate people on what Nexa is, what Nexa does, and what the capabilities are, and what our point of difference is to other blockchains. Because I think at the moment there's over 20,000 different coins, and when you're capturing that brand awareness of the community, you need to really clearly define how you're different, and that's the purpose of this No Nexa series is to define how we're different, define how we're better, and define the use case and the reason we exist.
Thanks, David. I just want to pull a couple of threads together there, because with what you're saying about marketing and what Andrew Stone just said about a hard fork. When Nexa was launched, it's a CPU mineable coin, so we're talking June 2022, and the CPU mining held for quite a few months, and there were early miners that jumped on. But around the end of October, early November, the GPU mining started. And actually, for a while, Nexa was really the most profitable coin for GPU miners, and on our plant, it jumped to #1 for ages. So that really energized the price at that time, and we can all look back at that sort of early peak at the end of 2022. Was really driven by just so many users coming in with the GPU mining. But unfortunately, because we're following Bitcoin's issuance model, 50% of the coins issued in the first 4 years, there has been non-stop issuance, obviously, since then, and we're just past the 2-year mark. But what the hard fork has the potential to do is actually re-energize the GPU mining phase, because there will need to, people will have to scramble to code in those changes to obviously support the chain going forward. So with our marketing, I think that could be a perfect storm. So with the hard fork, perhaps Q4, Q1 at the latest, and we've got the conference, which hasn't been mentioned yet, coming up in November. Our marketing will be really hitting the ground by the end of the year. And with the hard fork going live, energizing the GPU mining, I think we're really going to hit the ground running in 2025. So it's just pulling those two things together at this time.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think at the end of this year, we will see a convergence of the results from all of our efforts. So we're going to have as you said, hopefully the hard fork Q4. A lot of the marketing efforts we're putting in between now and then will sort of come into fruition around the same time, and then we will have the ability to then display all of this at the Australian Crypto Convention in November as well. So it's, as I said before, you don't really see a return on your time in marketing for a few months later. So I think that around that Q4 point where we do see that convergence of all the development and the marketing and everything really coming together in time for that hard fork, you're absolutely right. I think we're going to see some really big moves there.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Sick Pig, I saw you unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. Just want to touch some points that, could give an idea of all the things, because sometimes everyone is, focused on their tasks, and, sometimes you tend to forget about the bigger picture, all the things that all the people are doing. So I just wanted, give a brief summary. For example, we have already, we are ready for a new signature scheme for Nexa that is quantum resistant. We ported a signature scheme that is called Falcon, which participated to sort of a game that the NIST, which is an entity in the US that sponsored cryptography and then all those kind of things. And we already ported the code, and Peter Chipper made an amazing work to have our wallet and all the part of the full node ready to go in. And this is on the list of things that we want to add in near future. There is some kind of prerequisites that one of them Andrew is working on right now, Andrew Stone. And so this is, for example, one thing that we forgot to say, but it is very important in my opinion. Then we have the FPGA that we are working on, but Peter Risen will talk about that for sure. Tailstorm that we briefly touched, but is an amazing technology. It's a mix of what used to be called wick blocks and bobtail, which is a protocol that modify the proof of work of Nexa in such a way to reduce block variance so that on average the block time remains the same, but the occurrence of big interval between blocks is reduced dramatically. And this is a good thing for everybody that is relying on on Nexa to have their transaction included in a block. I mean, having on average a 2 minutes block doesn't mean that you are not going to experience, some kind of delay, and sometimes you can have a block every 10 minutes. Even if it's rare, it could be annoying. Bobtail is a way to reduce that variance and to keep the block time as close as possible to 2 minutes without losing any of the properties that the proof of work guarantee to the Nexa protocol. Where a weak blocks is another way to give a boost to zero conf transactions. We already have double spend proof to cover that, but this is another thing to add on top of that extra security for merchants and people that want to accept Nexa for their business. And their cash drive, Peter Risen is one of his ideas. So I left him to talk about that if he wanted to. There are tons of things that we are working on, like infrastructure, setting up election servers for open to the community to use and to build on top of, and having public nodes and public election server that is reliable and have a high reliability is key to build confidence and to have people that build on top of that, or that build on top of Nexa. So this is just, a little summary, but there are tons of other things that for sure I forgot. But yeah, just wanted to touch, a little bit on.
Great, so thank you, SigPig. So you mentioned some of the FPGA stuff that we have been working on, so I thought I'd add some more details on that. So one of Nexa's ideals is that we scale as much as is reasonably possible on layer 1. And to help achieve that, Nexa's mining algorithm uses elliptic curve point multiplication as the hashing algorithm. So in order to mine an Nexa block, you have to do a bunch of elliptic curve point multiplications, and you have to be really fast at that in order to win that block reward. And elliptic curve point multiplication is the time limiting step in signature verification, the thing we have to scale in order to scale transaction volume on the network. So it's interesting what we saw, like Solex was talking about at the beginning. People were mining Nexa with the CPUs. So their CPUs are doing all these computations, the same computations that are necessary to verify transactions, but they're doing it to mine Nexa. And then, like Solex said, the GPU miners came along and they could do it even faster. And the reason they could do it faster is because the GPU is like 10,000 little tiny CPUs all working in parallel. So we have these GPU miners with their GPUs performing all these signature verifications in parallel. And you saw the network just like explode, explode, explode. And that started to prove to us, how significantly we can scale signature verification with hardware. So the next stage for this is FPGAs and ASICs. So CPUs and GPUs, you have some processor performing like a program. It's just running a program to compute the elliptic curve point multiplication, which is necessary for the signature verification. Now, an FPGA is different because an FPGA, you're creating fixed hardware that performs that algorithm. So rather than a program executing a bunch of steps, you're basically pushing in all these bits which represent the computation you want to perform, and a bunch of AND gates and OR gates and flip flops. They all go to work, and the thing you get out is your the result of the point multiplication, or whether the signature is valid or not. So that's what we've been working on for a while, and we had that working in the fall with Ilya's work. It was a little bit slow. We've recently improved that, and I think in a novel way, where we've performed the 256 by 256 bit modular multiplication in a single clock cycle. And I think there's some novelty there to really speed up the rate at which we can do that. And my goal here is to produce eventually a little circuit board, like a hardware acceleration engine for Nexa that people can plug into their computers and offload the signature verification to that card. And right now, I'm aiming to have that presentable at the conference in November that we're working on, and hopefully have some previews a bit before that. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter and Sick Pig. That was awesome. And I think you've touched on and answered some of the questions from our community. So I will start reading some of these questions. And, this is open to all of our team here. Feel free to jump in and, answer the questions as well. With new layer ones with fast finality and confirmation times, how does Nexa see itself competing? Is it through Tailstorm or through layer twos and keeping layer one as a settlement layer? And what is the final result of Tailstorm and how will it affect block times? So I know that we've kind of touched on Tailstorm a little bit and scalability, but does anyone want to add anything that might answer this question from our community?
I'll speak on that. We definitely want to scale L1 as high as it can reasonably go, given today's networks, and so that effectively focuses Nexa on transactions and smart contracts, but it's not focused as like data storage, right? And so I believe that an L1 is sufficient for that amount of data. And while people say, well, what about this giant blockchain that needs to be synced? The simple answer is, well, I mean, like all that ancient history, you don't really have to go through all that all the time, right? So there are technologies, available to, like Bitcoin simply syncs everything from the Genesis block, sort of maybe as a historical artifact. So we'll be deploying technology so that doesn't need to happen. And so that effectively solves the problems at the L1 layer. And if a blockchain were to become super popular, worldwide type stuff, then Nexa will do L2 quite well. But my focus will not be on that. My focus will be on L1. as strong and scalable as possible.
Andrew, I think we're still having troubles with your microphone, mate. It kind of sounds like your microphone's in your pocket or something. It's very scratchy.
Weird. It's Bluetooth, JBL. Let me go off of it and just talk on my phone.
No worries. We'll give him a moment. Sick Pig, I believe you wanted to also chat about some of the upcoming protocol upgrades.
Yeah, there is an issue on the GitLab repository for Nexa with the list of all the things that we are considering to include in the Nexa fork. So there are, a bunch of things that we mentioned, like Falcon signature scheme, Tailstorm, and stuff like that, that, as Andrew said, are so big that it is worthless to try to put, a timeline, even if tentative, to those. But there are a bunch of features that and announcements that we want to add that are listed in this, list that we have. And then, there could be, and it is updated as soon as we manage to add to implement the the feature that we have in mind to the protocol. So I don't know if it's possible to share a link in a space, in an X space, but
I've just shared it. Mate.
Okay,
It's-
great.
Yeah, if anyone wants to click that link, they can click it above in the space here.
Okay, cool. It is a way for people that are, tech savvy or that are, want to have an idea of the day-to-day work that we are doing, rather than just, going through all the merge requests and all the changes that we commit to the GitLab repository. It could be a way to look at this and then have a higher level sense of the thing that we are adding and changing, and so it could have a more nuanced idea of the thing that we are moving toward.
Thanks for the update. Andrew, thanks for joining us again. Do you want to jump back on and see if your microphone's working?
Sure. Is it working?
Sounds good.
All right, great. Right. So Tailstorm is effectively like a brief DAG, right? And which resolves itself every 2 minutes to like a block. So I feel like that's the best of both worlds. And you can look at the DAG and get a probabilistic estimate of what miners are basically mining your transaction, and that gives you a much better indication of finality. So I think that would bring us to the point where, we are just as competitive or even more competitive than other blockchains. Something that you just really need to understand is if someone claims that their blockchain, is both, resistant to partitions and entirely available and decentralized, like something has got to give there. There are, like theoretical sort of results that show that, called the CAP theorem, that says that these three things simultaneously is not actually possible. So there is a lot of sort of marketing exaggeration in some cases going on.
Thanks, Andrew. And yeah, your microphone's working perfectly, mate. Thanks for jumping back on. We've got another question here, and I know that we've touched on FPGA a little bit, but I'd love for our devs here to explain firstly what FPGA is for anyone that might be listening who may not know what it is. The question specifically here, though, from one of our community members is there still a prototype FPGA in the works for Nexa? I'm just looking for clarity on how Schnorr signatures will be scaled. So who would like to tackle this one?
Sure, I will tackle that one. So first, let's talk about FPGAs. I already touched on this when I was speaking earlier, but FPGA is very different from a CPU or a GPU. A CPU, you write software that gets compiled to code, which executes a program inside the CPU, and a GPU is like 1,000 or 10,000 little CPUs all running their software program in parallel. An FPGA is a field programmable gate array, so it doesn't run software. What you do is you design a circuit that gets created inside the FPGA. So this is a fixed hardware circuit with AND gates, OR gates, flip-flops, registers, things like that, that instead of computing the answer you're looking for with the program, it computes it electronically just through the digital circuits. So the reason this is really cool is because with a CPU or a GPU, you're constrained by the hardware that exists inside those chips. Whereas FPGA, you can program it to become any kind of hardware you want. So you can create a circuit which is optimized for the specific problem of elliptic curve point multiplication, like I talked about before. And that's also the first step if you want to create an ASIC, an application-specific integrated circuit. So you would take the register transfer level RTL description of the circuit you created on the FPGA, and you would throw that to an ASIC developer, and they would basically implement those same electronic circuits that you're creating in your FPGA, but they would create that inside on a silicon die that creates the ASIC. So it's very different than a CPU or a GPU. And the other question is, so yes, we are still pursuing that. And my goal is to have something physical that we can show that works nicely at that conference in November, and hopefully something a little bit before that.
That's really exciting. Thanks, Peter. We have another question here.
Can I add one thing about that, which I'm not sure if Peter's quite connecting the dots, but the point is that one piece of hardware will both accelerate transaction processing and it will accelerate mining, right? And so that's where we can have this massive scalability in transaction validation because our difficulty algorithm took the hardest part of transaction validation and made it part of the difficulty algorithm.
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yep.
And regarding the hackathon, we have Nexa libraries that can be used on web, Android, iPhone, and desktop, and we are working on improving the developer experience for those libraries by improving the documentation and building more templates and examples, so the developers have a place to start.
Awesome, thank you. We have another question here, guys. What's your plan to capture TVL on Nexa? Are you relying on Build It and They Will Come, whether the ecosystem on its own will do that, or do we have partnerships and other apps that have had success on other chains that we can bring into Nexa and capture TVL and create value? So this is a question from one of our community members, and again, open to anyone that wants to jump in and answer.
TVL as in total value locked?
Yes.
I guess that I can, give a personal perspective on that. And for sure, like I said before, we need to provide all the blocks that are needed for people to, trust Nexa as a valuable thing to build things upon. So it is a there are different aspects to that. It's not as simple as saying, okay, we are going to, build as fast as we can, and then people will come, or we're going to do marketing or hackathon, or we need all of that. The thing that Jorgen just said, providing what you would call an SDK, if you will, for people to build on top and start to build prototype, proof of concept, try to, have their hands dirty with Nexa would for sure, give the taste of it, the right idea, and a way to actually understand the technology. Because as long as you read or listen to AMA like this one, you could have an idea, but it's different to have a possibility to actually build things on top of that. And what Jorgen said, infrastructure, Electrum servers, and open API servers are important for something like that. And for sure, having a clear roadmap, and then a clear vision that people can rely on without being pull rugged suddenly could for sure help this kind of development. I mean, not like in code development, but development in general.
I just want to touch on. Sorry, Andrew. I'll just touch on the build it and they will come philosophy, and it's important to realise that works at the beginning of any new technological paradigm, such as when Bitcoin was first launched. That was very much built it and people will come. But now we've got, as David mentioned, up to 20,000 coins. That just does not work anymore. We could have the best coin in the world and people won't get traction just waiting for people. So this is where the marketing is just 100% important, to bring people to the coin. And we can turn it around and look at Bitcoin today. If Bitcoin was launched today, it would have just zero attention in the marketplace because it would be seen as slow and clunky and can't do smart contracts and all sorts of things. So what keeps things going is the network effect. And we could just look at Telegram. Endo and I were chatting about Telegram, where the founder was being interviewed, and he said they got 900 million users on Telegram. And Tucker asked him how much they spend on marketing. He says zero. They spent zero on marketing, but he still expects to get to 1 billion users on Telegram. So how is that possible? Well, the thing is, it's network effect. Everyone wants to join, is joining because their friends, family, colleagues, social group already there. So it's got the network effect, and it can just grow from network effect alone. And that's what Bitcoin's doing even now in the in the ETF market. It's growing from its network effect. Nexa can't do that. We have to get our network effect up and running, and that's where the marketing comes in. But the other thing is, we can't just market vaporware. We have to have the best product if we're going to sell the best product. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build the best product and then sell it, rather than just sell promises, which a lot of other coins have been doing, like IOTA and that. They just sell their promises. Sure, they have great marketing, they get in the rankings, but it's just not successful long term. Anyway, Andrew, please continue.
I just wanted to say I totally agree with that, and I do want to though reiterate that in some ways we do have the best product, in particular like the blind signing problem, right, which burns people. It feels like several times a month if you read Reddit cryptocurrency, and and so basically to summarize, when you connect your Ethereum wallet to a website, and then that website says, oh, I'm going to run a contract, right? Well, you sign this contract. It could be anything, right? And since the contract has full control, once you authorize it to make any state changes, you give it permission to on the blockchain. And it's kind of like you either give the contract permission to run or you don't, right? It can steal all your money, right? And so you always see people saying, oh, I thought I was going to, receive some coin, but instead all my, tokens were just cleared out, right, of my wallet. But the Nexa blockchain doesn't work that way. You need to specify in advance very clearly exactly sort of what final transfers are occurring, what the final state will be. And so our wallets can just pop up and say, and they do today, right? This isn't some future feature. They say, this transaction will, give you 10,000 NEX and you will lose 2 NFTs, right? And it shows you the NFTs. Do you want to do this or not, right? And so that is like a fundamental advantage for people who, are trying to deal with complex multi-token situations in their wallet, right? Now, as Solex was saying, we can have that cool technological underlying feature, but the truth is that, the vast majority of this activity currently happens on Ethereum. And so we do need the marketing and awareness and, to start the ball rolling to make people understand that, this chain has advantages in these ways.
Great. Thanks, guys. Did anyone else want to add to that?
I just want to add to Solex's comments around the marketing efforts and actually having a solid product to market. And it is a bit of a chicken and egg situation sometimes, but it's really good that the community understands that, while we're here to market Nexa, we have to market key features and key areas of Nexa when the timing is right as well. So we can't just go 1,000 miles an hour and hope that something sticks. We have to be strategic and we have to plan with our development team when things will be released and then when we can market those things. So, very important point that Solex made before. And again, it comes down to strategy.
Absolutely. Yeah, all the efforts that are happening right now with our marketing and community, I can jump in really quickly there. Scalability is such a big value for us here at Nexa, and it's the same with the marketing efforts. Everything that we're putting into place at the moment, from new content series to the new website to branding refresh to, even right down to our comm strategy and everything's broken down into phases. And, we're running alongside the updates that are happening with our amazing dev team and really working together as a team as a whole to make sure that everything that is put in place is sustainable, because like Solex has touched on and Dave as well, we don't want to have moments of success, we want longevity. And so everything that we're doing is built for longevity and is building towards the long-term goal. So we will start to see some of the fruits of our labor over the next few months for sure, but we're excited to show you some of what we've been working on in the meantime. And the best way that our community can stay abreast of everything that's happening is to stay plugged in with our community channels, stay plugged in on our social channels, keep up with the content and the messaging and the announcements. There's currently a BingX campaign happening, so there's a trading carnival. So there's lots of things that you can get involved in. If you have questions, reach out to our team at any time through Telegram or Discord. That's what we're here for. And we're also going to look at doing more of these AMAs as well as more updates come and more announcements come in the next few months. I just wanted to take a moment. I know we've got, quite a few people here listening today, and if anyone has a question that they'd like to jump up and ask now, we're open to having one live question. So if you've got a question, you're welcome to request to speak and ask the team something. But I believe that we've covered a lot of the topics that our community had asked. A lot of the questions coming through were, around the marketing and website updates, FPGA, Tailstorm, latest developments, and our team have done a great job answering those questions today. I can't see anyone requesting, so I'm going to assume that we've got no questions left, which is awesome. Dave, Solex, anyone on our panel today, did you guys want to say any last words before we close the space?
Yeah, I just want to mention that a really important, one of the most important parts of growing a project like this is the community. So I want to ensure everyone that we intend to give our best efforts in open communication, transparency, and where we are as a project moving forward. And a big thanks to everyone that's kind of hung in there and stuck with us. And it's a really important part of our growth and our growth strategy to lean on our community as well. So you guys to some degree have an input here and a responsibility, and we will lean on you to help grow this project. And it's very, very important that we're engaged and that you're engaged with us back as well. So even on socials, the algorithms work with in a very simple way that the more you're engaged with it, the more those socials are shown to other people. So please, guys, keep engaging with us online, in X and in Telegram, and ask questions. If you've got questions, ask questions. We're an open book. We will answer the questions we can answer. Some questions we can't answer. So as an example for that, there's a lot of things floating around in Telegram around the exchange listings. I just want to be very, very clear. We are under an NDA for everything to do with exchanges. So we're very compliant in that we won't share information we're not allowed to share. However, where we can share information, we will. So big thanks to the community for sticking with us and showing us support. And, we really appreciate your ongoing support from here too.
Thanks, Dave. Solex, do you have any last words?
Yeah, not quite. I was just reviewing your list of questions. There is a few things we could just touch on. The important one really is a Toplo. BU is going to make a significant commitment to support a Toplo and keep its products going. Andrew Stone and I have been talking about it. We're going to keep it going indefinitely. So people don't have to worry about any Toplo product that they're using. We're going to give that BU support as well. That's a definite commitment. And there was a question about does the BU team mine Nexa? We don't actually mine it. Well, it's certainly not as an organisation, but we've made substantial purchases in the open market. So BU has acquired a decent holding of Nexa, and so we're committed as much as any holder is to seeing the coin grow. I think that's probably one big takeaway people can have, is that we have our own substantial commitment that we've literally purchased in the open market. Which is the fairest way of doing it. None of these like founder carve-outs, which a lot of the other coins do. We started from zero. And then just touching on BCH, BU had a long history with BCH. We have issued a release to support the latest BCH hard fork. We may not do that next year if there's another hard fork. Our focus is 100% on Nexa at the current time. I don't see that changing. That's it. Shanice, I think you could wrap up unless anyone else has got any further points.
Yep. No worries.
I think we've got a request there for a question.
Yes, Jonathan, let's invite you up to speak, mate. Thanks for requesting. Just connecting.
Guys, we'll just do a bit of an open Q&A for the next 3-4 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up.
Perfect.
So if you've got any questions, by all means, jump on.
Jonathan, go for it, mate.
I think you're on mute.
We just need to unmute your mic, Jonathan.
The red speaker.
Okay, Jonathan doesn't have a question. Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to jump up and ask before we wrap things up for today?
No other request here. We'll give it another couple seconds. This is your chance, guys. If you've got a question, you can ask the team, jump up.
We will do this more frequently as well. So at least once a quarter, I think it'll be a good idea for us all to get together, do an AMA, and give you guys some live updates and the opportunity to talk directly with the team as well. So if you don't have a question at the moment, I'm sure you'll have a question before the next one. And obviously you can always reach us in Telegram and Discord, etc. as well. So I think we can wrap up today and crack on. So Solex, Andrew, Peter, Jorgen, Sickpick, thank you very much for joining us. Wherever you guys are in the world, it's a different time zones all over the place. To the community, thanks for jumping on. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to your ongoing support moving forward.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
David. Thanks, Shanice. And thanks to everyone who joined.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
great day or evening. See you later.
Thanks.